Okay, so welcome everyone to the June 10th, 2024 meeting of the Carver School Committee. I call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Everyone could please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if I could please just ask everyone for a moment of silence in memory of Pauline Lopez, who worked for the district for over 20 years and recently passed away. Thank you, everyone. I'm sending our thoughts to her family. So send it over to Mr. Neef.
Yes, so we want to just start with our reminder that this meeting is also being held virtually in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Members of the public can access this meeting via Zoom at Town Hall in Meeting Room 1 or live on Area 58 cable TV. So we're going to start this evening with some recognitions. We want to recognize our South Shore League All-Stars for our spring sports. So tonight we're going to celebrate spring sport All-Stars for their exceptional achievements and recognize them for their hard work, dedication, and outstanding performances. All of you who are here have shown remarkable talent, unwavering commitment, and true sportsmanship throughout the season. Each of you has not only excelled in your respective sports, but have also demonstrated the qualities that make you outstanding student athletes, both on and off the field. You just didn't become all-stars. Your journeys have been filled with early mornings, late nights, intense practices, and countless hours of trainings. You've faced challenges, persevered through setbacks, celebrated victories, and managed defeats. Your passion for the game, your determination to succeed, has set you all apart and made you all-stars. But your accomplishments extend beyond individual achievements. You've contributed to your teams, uplifted your peers, and inspired young athletes at Carver Middle High School who truly do look up to you. Your leadership and teamwork have been instrumental in creating a positive and dynamic sports environment at the Carver Public Schools. And the school committee and myself just want to take a couple minutes to thank you for all of your hard work, for representing us, the community of Carver, and Carver Middle High School really well. So we'll take a minute. Well, I know a lot of our spring All-Stars are unable to be here. Some of them are seniors. There's a reality piece of they're seniors and they've graduated and they're moving on. And then obviously sometimes June is just a tough time of year. So I know we are missing some of our All-Stars, but I still want to say everybody's name. I want to recognize everyone, obviously those who are here and those who are also not here. So I'm just going to take a minute and we'll go through for baseball. And when you come up, we'll give you a certificate, ask you to stay up here, and then we always do a picture with the school committee, which I know you're all very excited about, doing a picture with the school committee. You can see that in your faces. I can see the excitement about doing a picture with the school committee. So, yeah, sure. So, it's always the hard part of, technically I'm supposed to be on mic so people can hear me at home, but I have a lot of work. So. Nate Dorado, I know Nate's that. For baseball. Ryder Holmes for baseball. Tyler Lennox for baseball. For softball, Maddie Butler and Sarah Langtree, who I know both of them are not here right now. And then for spring track, we have a lot of our spring track athletes here this evening. Lena Burkbach. Chloe Christian. Corinne Clarity, we can clap for Chloe and Corinne. I don't think it's Hunter Dalton. Julie Rhymes. Luke Coleman. Batavia Leonard. Charles Lincoln. Carly Peterson. Maya Sepulveda. And Ryan Wall. And I don't know if we want to call the rules.
Sure. Keep with tradition.
I'll be going back. That's me.
Congrats to all of you. Congratulations. Can't wait to see you.
We do have, sorry, I don't know if you want to say anything about our athletes, our all-stars, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting if you'd like, but you're also more than welcome to go enjoy the rest of your evening.
They might want to stay for this next part.
Although, if you're interested in athletics, you might actually want to stay for the next
We are going to
announcement.
introduce the new athletic director if you're interested in staying.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to preempt that. I usually just, not that people need to be dismissed, but I usually, once I say that, I usually see the relief in their faces, so. But anyway.
So for our next recognition this evening, we'd like to take a moment to introduce our new athletic director, Kelsey Kincaid. So Kelsey, if you don't mind coming up to the mic. So we're pleased to announce that Kelsey will be our new athletic director for the 2024-25 school year. Ms. Kincaid has served as the athletic director at Rising Tide Charter School for the past 6 years. She has a Master's of Arts in Exercise and Sports Science with a concentration in athletic administration. She's also a certified athletic administrator through the National Interscholastic Athletic Administration Association. Prior to serving as the athletic director at Rising Tide, she was the assistant athletic director at Randolph High School. Ms. Kincaid is also a two-time All-American lacrosse player at Stonehill College. And she has experience coaching at the high school level in lacrosse and in basketball. We'll have to say that we had a team, an interview team that was made up of parents, members of the community, students, coaches, and the administration. It was really, we had a strong candidate pool. We really had some outstanding candidates, and Kelsey rose to the top through that process. We're really excited to have her on board starting on July 1st as the athletic director of Carver Middle High School. I will be sending out a formal letter to the community tomorrow. So, we made the decision a little bit ago, but I wanted to kind of have a break between the end of the spring sports season and Kelsey coming on board. I didn't want to create confusion in the community of, if I have an issue with a spring sport, who do I reach out to? Because Kelsey was still at Rising Tide. So I felt like this would be a good time in terms of June 10th and a clean break. Unfortunately, our sports seasons are over. No one is continuing on right now, and same actually for Rising Tide. We thought this was a good timing-wise to do the announcement tonight, send out the letter tomorrow to let the entire community know. So Kelsey, we're glad to have you here. And, want to know if you want to say a few words, or we're just pleased to have you.
As you said, I'm excited to be here. I've been at Rising Tide for 6 years, and I'm excited to take on this new challenge and journey and help further develop your athletics department here. You guys have a lot of successful teams and teams that can definitely use some developing and further, help with and stuff like that. So I'm just excited to get to know all the athletes, you as a school committee, the Boosters Club, parents, families, and students. So come on July 1st, I'm ready for it.
Kelsey will be in the district on Wednesday. She's going to spend some time on Wednesday in the district, introduce her to people and everybody around the community, and we're just really looking forward to July 1st and the beginning of the new year. So Kelsey, thank you for taking a couple minutes to be here this evening.
Thank you guys for having
I don't know if
me.
anyone has any questions or...
I think we're all very excited that you're here, so we're looking forward to your leadership and you're becoming a part of our admin team, so thank you for joining us. We're excited.
Thank you very much, guys.
Right. Congratulations,
Absolutely.
Kelsey.
Congratulations. Need to bear with me. Okay, so, recognitions. We're all the way down there already. Okay, so, Tom is on Zoom. So that brings us to comments from the EAPC. And President Tom Pinto is with us. Hello, Tom.
Hey. Hi there, everybody. Congratulations to our spring sport athletes. First, I hope everyone has a great summer vacation, gets to enjoy some time off. Exciting news that town meeting voted a new home rule petition to help replace the old one to help our future retirees with their health insurance benefits. The EAPC wants to offer all our resources at helping get it passed at the state level. I look forward to meeting as soon as possible with the Insurance Advisory Committee. And lastly, I'd like to thank Tammy Johnson, who's stepping down as the EAPC Carver Vice President, for everything she's done in her role to support our members, students, and schools throughout the school years. Thank you, everyone, and have a great break.
Hey, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, my apologies, technology, here we go. Okay, so let's see. Next, that brings us to comments from the general public. So if there's anyone here that would like to speak, you're more than welcome to come up to the table. If there's
And-
anyone on Zoom,
Yeah, the chat is open, so anybody
Okay.
want to just put their name in the chat if they'd like to speak.
all right, that would be great. So if you could just enter your name into the chat to be recognized, that would be great. What do we have for participants? Okay. Seeing no one has put their name in the chat, no one has come to the table, so we shall move on to the next order of business, which is the approval of minutes for the May 20th, 2024 open session.
I move that we approve the minutes from the May 20th, 2024 open session of the Carver Public School Committee.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. So that brings us to communications and a Reed's quarterly report.
So we do have one communication this evening. It's the Reed's quarterly report. This is in all the members' background. There's actually just a couple things in here that I wanted to point out. Issues that we've worked on over the last year or two that we've talked about in regards to Reed's Collaborative. First, the Brockton Public Schools and Whitman-Hampton Regional High School have been officially approved to join Reed's, and they will become members as of July 1st, 2024. So they are joining the collaborative. The second thing that we worked on a little bit was we had to approve what was called the collaborative agreement. And part of that was to revise the collaborative agreement, was to part of the process of allowing in Brockton and Whitman-Hanson. So that has been sent to DESE, and DESE has approved the new collaborative agreement for Reed's, which is great. And then the final thing I just wanted to point out was that Reed's Academy's Director of Program Advancement and Student Services, Ms. Deirdre Dowd Pizzuto, is going to be retiring. She's actually spent a 36-year career at Reed's. We've got to know her well over the years, and just want to take a moment to recognize her for her dedication to that program and her retirement effective as of June 30th. So there's a couple of highlights from the Reed's quarterly report.
Okay, thank you very much. So that brings us to reports from the superintendent.
Hey, personnel updates. We have had some staff changes and movement since the last time we met. We have a few new hires for next school year. Cara Martina as a teacher kindergarten at the elementary school. James Smith as a special education teacher at Carver Elementary School. And Jennifer Gill as an ESP at Carver Elementary School kindergarten. We have one transfer. Brooke Bishop, who was a special education teacher at the middle high school, is going to be taking a one-year English teaching position at the middle high school next year. And we've had a couple resignations. Gianna Sabanov, ESP at the elementary school. Lauren Ovian is an ESP at the elementary school. Shannon Alzheimer is an ESP in kindergarten classroom at the elementary school. Kevin Thompson as the ESP in the book collection at the elementary school. And Stacy Lodge as a food service worker at Carver Middle High School. So that's our personnel updates since last time we met.
Thank you for that. Next, we have elementary attendance updates.
All right, we're excited to have Dr. Naomi Stahl and Dr. Jessica Pinella to join us to go through the work they've been doing in regards to attendance at the elementary school as a follow-up to our middle high school presentation from our last meeting.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And sort of like, they'll be back again for a second showing of the handbook later in the
Just like
meeting.
dig right in, we will.
Yeah, we could just stay up here. That's fine.
Front row.
Yep. Okay, so we are presenting about what we've done this year with attendance.
Our approach was significantly different from the middle high school. Just to preface, we do not have anything hold over the kids' heads. We don't have like, their credits or things like that. But seriously, our perspective is a lot different because we need to work with families. So for the most part, it's not the kids that are the reason.
Right.
It's getting the families on board. So we're building relationships. So our strategy was a little bit different.
And families might need certain supports to get their kids to go to school. So it's more...
We need that relationship
We're
with
trying
them.
to help.
Yeah.
So what could we do to help? So we had an attendance committee. It was us, along with Mrs. Maestas, our adjustment counselors, our school psychologist, Lisa Hines, and we would consult the nurses as to the reasons for student attendance.
So we had some goals, including the current attendance processes. So, coming out of COVID, we were starting to shift to increase the students back in school and supporting families to get them on board to support the kids' attendance. And then what interventions and services could we provide families to support them and get them back into school?
Excuse me.
So our action steps, we met monthly, and this might seem small. This was a really big task.
It was.
We had to we would look back at the emails that parents submitted for absences. We would cross-reference
With the
the
teachers.
teachers to see if they knew the reasons for any absences.
The nurse.
The nurses. So looking at all of, collaborating with all of these people, communicating with them, and inputting all the information onto a spreadsheet that we would cross-reference and then determine whether or not they would receive a letter. But we identified students with 10% or more absences for specific times during the school year. And we sent the personalized letters showcasing the number of absences their child has accrued. And we tried to
Write little notes. saying,
notes.
We miss you.
We miss you. We know you went away, but we really want your son
want
in
you to be
school.
here.
We want you to be here.
Short of postcards that said, "Wish you were here."
Smiley face.
Which might be for next week.
Yes. And we did offer February vacation attendance camp.
Which was a show up, get two free.
Yes.
And it was wonderful. It was a great experience.
And it was also academic. We
Yes.
called it camp to keep it light, but it
was
really
a lot of science, writing,
and
math.
project-based learning that were a part of that week. And the kids did seem to enjoy themselves. And it was great, I feel like, for the consistency of just being in school and in the
Getting
building
up
the
every
week.
day.
So that when Monday morning came along, it wasn't a shock, to re-enter and come back to school. And another action step is the CRA, which is...
We only did one.
We only did one this year, but child requiring assistance, and it's when someone from the court comes and meets with the family, and actually they did pull in the student. But I will say, having it come to that, it's very situational. So, I mean, for that particular student, that route made sense, but for others it doesn't. So it takes a lot to get to that point and for specific situations.
So here's just one example of the letter. We did mix it up a lot of times, and then you see the space on the side. We hand wrote little notes in there, just welcoming them back.
Right. And this is a little bit more, the next slide, about the attendance camp, created guidelines for February vacation school that was supported by DESE. And we selected the students that were invited. So it was a combined class with grades 1 and 2 and another class with grades 3 through 5. And yeah, it was the whole framework. We didn't have a huge showing.
We didn't.
But it was quality. It was really fun.
And even for this, we did send a letter, emails, but we also followed up with phone calls. We had a lot of conversations with families before they agreed to send their kids.
And And just to remind, DESE offered this incentive to all districts in Massachusetts. And they basically said you can get every district could receive a $10,000 grant to run some sort of program for attendance. And that you could offer incentives like 2 for 1.
Right.
But that, obviously, that it's even that has more impact than high school, because a student who's in danger of being, especially the high school level, 9 through 12, who's in danger of being denied credit, coming in for 1 day and earning 2 back is a huge incentive for them. Not as much for a second grader. That doesn't mean a lot to them to get, well, I get what it was me to get 2 days back. And all the students who attended, we did have to send a database to DESE, and then they actually changed their attendance and their tracking mechanism when we look at chronic absenteeism. And I remember last month we talked a little bit about what some of the chronic absenteeism numbers were as of March 1st, and then we'll see the real numbers in September for the entire year. But the students who attended this February vacation camp at the elementary school will have days taken off their absenteeism from a DESE perspective.
Is 10% 18 days or more?
Yes, for the entire school
Yeah.
year. Yep.
And some of these numbers were significantly higher than that.
Yes, double.
Wow.
So here's a just fun example of some of the activities that.
So, sorry about that.
You had a Zoom.
With my phone, I was trying to do.
She's very clever.
The circles or squares just seemed kind of strange, so this is
is
also
not
equally
strange at all.
So, yeah, we're adding some levity to the meeting, that's all. So these are pictures from February vacation camp. To the left, it's a 4th grader, the bunny.
They
who's,
wrote their favorite donuts and had to do a presentation on it. And we went up and we got to see the
Yeah.
presentations. They really worked hard and they really had a good time.
They had to design it themselves, so there was an art project
Yes.
that went with it, and then they had to write about why they selected what they did. And
It
then
was like a gourmet donut.
a gourmet donut. In the center is a STEM project. 1st and 2nd graders got to build floats using certain material, and there they are to the right.
They did a whole penguin study too, like all kinds of, so they did a lot of science, reading, math. It was
Right.
great.
There was a waddling contest.
There was a waddling contest that I did not win.
I didn't win either, but it was fun.
So we just wanted to give you an idea. So we broke it down by months. And
The number of letters that we actually sent home.
and then on the far side, you see 2+ letters. That means that's the same students or same families would be receiving multiple letters.
And part of tracking that data was to see if there was an improvement after they received a letter and whether it made sense to send another letter or not. Because
And that was definitely something that we looked into, is after we sent the letter, how many more absences did they accrue?
Right.
And that would be the determining factor of
whether they would receive another one or not.
So if there was an improvement, I mean, we understand, you get sick, you stay home a few days, but if they showed an improvement, then we acknowledge that effort.
Nice.
Again, it was all about the relationship building.
And then I'm going to be going over attendance in a little bit, so this isn't the last of me, but
I told her as I would.
but we did revise the attendance portion within the handbook, and I could go over it more in a little bit, but specifically targeting the excessive absences section, and when a student reaches 10%, what the school does when they get up to 15% absences, what we do, and then what a CRA is with a link attached to it, just to be more specific that way. But we could get more into that later.
And then here's this great graphic from Attendance Works, and just to show like how much that attendance and building those good habits in the elementary school really supports the work ethic that we want our kids to have as they grow.
Right.
And hopefully we'll see, I think the administration has really put a focus on this year, and I think they've done a great job in terms of encouraging students to attend school on a more regular basis and improve some of those chronic absenteeism numbers. And I think we'll see when we get the data in September that we're going to see a real improvement. But it's not going to be where we want it to be. It's still going to be, the numbers are still going to be a little bit like, wow, that's really high.
Well, NPR just did a piece last week about how this is a nationwide problem and how different schools are tackling it. They focused on one in California, but I love the originality and like getting them to come in, because one of the things that they pointed out, which I should know because I work in a classroom, but didn't realize, was when like a kindergartner misses one day of school, they end up 3 days behind, because then they have to catch up.
Right.
And then they have to catch up on the work they missed while they were catching up. So I love the effort.
And I think what a lot of families don't necessarily understand is, even when teachers do pull work, so much of the work that the kids do is organic, it's group-based, it's,
Right.
you know, it's happening in the classroom, and it's coming out of conversations and collaborating. It's not, we don't have those papers
Right.
that we can just hand you a stack of papers and say,
Right.
here's
Get it
everything you
done.
missed.
Right.
That's not even close.
And it's new material, you know, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily, you
Right,
know,
like,
just
like
practice.
especially
It's
at that young
new.
age, it's new
Yes.
information
You need to be there.
every day for
Right.
them. So,
And that is the end of our attendance presentation.
Do you have any
Do you have questions?
I appreciate the creativity. I think that's fantastic. I was actually kind of concerned about my own daughter this year. That's why I asked about the number. But she's below it, but this year in particular, she was sick more, so we had to keep her out of school for 5 days because she had flu B. So that was fun. When he gave me that note, I'm like, oh, come on. Meanwhile, she had the sniffles, you know. So I really appreciate the creativity. I think that's great that the kids came in over February vacation. I understand that this is a problem, and I feel like, too, I think parents' attitudes are starting to change again. Like, I think during COVID, everybody was like, FOMO, like, we're just going to go on family vacation.
Right.
And not really, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. But I
know.
think we're starting to come out of that a little bit, so I appreciate all the effort. Absolutely.
Right, it's getting back
And
in the
we-
routine
we
and building good
recognize
habits.
that,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And we had those conversations with families, and I mean, we weren't trying to alienate people. I mean, we were definitely reaching out and saying like, hey, we miss you. Like, it's, you know, this is good, just generally good habits to
And
be
when we
here.
see the kids
Yeah.
at school
We
and we
missed
discuss
you.
them, we're like, oh, we missed you. It's so good to see you. You know, and just trying
Yeah.
to get them jazzed to be there.
Absolutely, and I'm
You
sure it's
know?
frustrating for them too, because they're out a couple of days and then they're so many days behind.
It's hard
And
to
that,
come
you know,
back into.
I think
It makes you more anxious. It's
Yes.
cyclical.
it makes them
It
anxious.
really
It
is.
feels like
Yeah.
I personally feel like if I know my daughter personally, like if she gets too far behind, like she'll just give up. And I don't
Yes.
want that. I don't want to see that for
Right.
any kids. So
And we don't want to see that,
No,
especially in
of course not.
elementary school.
No.
It's too early to give up.
yeah.
right.
I can't have an adult like school in elementary.
Give up those last month of senior year. That's what you.
Yeah, right.
You phone that right in, I'm fine with that. Say Miss Stahl said it was fine.
Funny.
But appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have
thank
a
you.
question about the $10,000 grant. So I'm just curious, how was that played in? Did we spend all of it? Did we get it after?
We spent all of it.
Okay.
And it was to run both programs. So it was to run the program at the elementary school, and it was to run the program at the middle high school. And primarily it paid for the staff and the oversight of the program.
Which is another reason why we combined grade levels too. I mean,
Of course.
for
Right.
staffing.
Yeah, and the middle high school program was larger, so it wasn't an even split of $5,000, the
Yeah.
elementary 5,000 at the middle high school. There were more students and staff involved in the middle high school program.
Right, which makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank
We-
you.
We love your creativity and your approach, and we look forward to hearing about the hymn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.
Is that next?
Nope, actually, next we have school improvement plans.
All right, so Ruby stepped up first, so the elementary school improvement plan. Ruby, hop right up there.
to go first? You can come up with me if you want. Good evening, how's everyone doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I am going to go over the school improvement plan, and as soon as Mr. Neef pulls that up for me, I can start by going over first our school council members. So most of you know that one of the main responsibilities of the school council is to work on the school improvement plan. So I was very fortunate to have a very impressive school council this year. I've had great school councils all along, but this team, we were really able to work together, roll up our sleeves, and really talk about some of the goals and objectives that we wanted to achieve. So Tim Bean is one of our parents, Jennifer Bogart is another, Danielle Hall-Sawiski, and Saren Craig. And the teachers on the committee are Morgan Brown, Joyce Macrina, Kat Krampf, and Leslie O'Reilly. So they were very loyal members and really worked together for quite a bit with me. And then I also put underneath there, we had some contributions from our Safe and Supportive School Committee. And I'm going to talk later in the school improvement plan about a family survey. And the reason that I wanted to put the Safe and Supportive Schools members here is because they were responsible for helping us to write the survey questions and to really look at what we were trying to get out of the survey. And so they are Kara Burke, Natalie Dracchio, Jordan Hardiman, Lisa Hines, Jocelyn Kelly, Caroline Nichols, Jess Pinella, Rebecca Perry, Naomi Stahl, and then the other two, Ryan Reset and Jen Ryle, are parents on our Safe and Supportive Schools Committee. So with that, I'm going to go through a few things, not everything, but just a few things, just some of the highlights. And I'd like to start under Support Safe Schools. So in this, you'll see that little light golden shade. That indicates some of the new things that we've added. So I'm going to touch on some of those. So that third bullet, we're talking.
Ruby, do you mind if I just go back a half a second? Just as a reminder for the community.
Sure.
So as a school district, we've identified 4 core objectives. Those 4 core objectives are to support safe schools, engage the community, enhance teaching and learning, and leverage leadership policy and funding. So those are all part of the core objectives of the district and our educational blueprint. And then the school improvement plans feed into that using those same core objectives and what actions they're taking at the school level. So I just wanted to just give that as a little framing and a reminder for both school improvement plans. They both have the same format structure based on these core objectives. And Ruby started going right into support safe schools at the elementary school. Sorry, Ruby.
No problem, sure. And I'll add to that, Mr. Neef, just to let everyone know that as an alt team, every summer, we look at these 4 objectives and we discuss them together and determine if they still really fit what we need, and if they do, we keep them. If not, we edit or adjust. And then we look at them throughout the year also, because we want to make sure that they're continuing to align with our purpose and our mission. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Ruby.
So that third bullet, it talks about embedding the application of the CASEL competencies, and those are the social emotional competencies that we've talked about over the years, but they're around self-regulation and helping students to really get to know who they are and be better at managing their emotions and navigate social situations, not only at school, but in all aspects of their life. And so what we've done is we've added that we want to ensure that we're incorporating the trauma-sensitive practices throughout the school day. So over the years at Carver Elementary, we've worked with different organizations, but especially the trauma-informed schools, to support our teachers with building their knowledge base on what it means to be trauma-sensitive, which is really having a whole child approach to supporting children. And so as we have gone through the last several years, we have new staff, and you constantly have to be bringing them on board and training them, and it takes a while. So I thought it makes sense for us to bring this back in to ensure that we're getting everyone on board and supporting the new teachers so that they're approaching the children with those holistic approaches. And it's a process, and sometimes you don't automatically train the teachers the first year. You bring them on board one year, and then the second year you're adding pieces to their professional development just because you can't do it all at once. And so that's part of that section there. And then we want to continue to work with our 5th grade students to support their transition to grade 6. So at the elementary school, over the last probably 2 or 3 years, we've heard different things about how our students going into 6th grade, that we need to do more to support their transition. So we're working to build a bridge with Ms. Cabral and Dylan. I forgot his last name for a moment.
Antel.
Thank you. and all of the staff, so our staff and the middle high school staff, to ensure that the transition is a bit smoother. So we've heard about homework practices, we've heard about, move-up days, we've heard about lots of things that we can work on and meet in the middle and support each other so that the students don't have such a big shock when they get to 6th grade. So we've been talking about things like, for example, last week, the students and the staff went on a move-up day tour, and the teachers were really, the Carver Elementary School teachers were very engaged in that tour because they really wanted to get a first-hand sense of what it looked like. In the past, they didn't always engage in the tour. That's just a little example. We want to be able to shadow a 6th grade student, and in turn, we want some admin and teachers from the middle high school to shadow 5th graders, so we can try to get a better sense of what the kids are going through and how to just continue to build that gap. We know that's very important. So then I'm going to go underneath a little bit where it talks about strengthening our safety protocols. So this section here refers more to our ALICE, like our intruder safety. So one of the things that we want to do at the elementary, working with our police department and our fire department and all of our trained staff to, I guess maybe kick it up a notch with enhanced training for staff, not for students, but for the staff. So we use intruder safety scenarios, but to talk about, what would you do if? So we call those tabletop exercises. But what we'd like to do this next year is actually spend like a faculty meeting of about an hour actually going over a scenario. So giving folks a scenario on a sheet of paper, and then they kind of they read it, and then they kind of have to take action. So we are spending some time, once school gets out, our fire department and SRO and some of our members from our crisis team, we're going to write up our scenarios and get them ready for the fall. So it's just another way to help folks, staff, be better prepared. In the event of an emergency. So then the other section that I'd like to go over at the bottom is 1.4, where it talks about increasing the positive behavior choices. So we've been using on a small scale some videos for the students to be able to watch. They really love watching each other. But themselves. So making videos of positive behavior choices on the bus, in the cafeteria, walking in the hallway, talking to each other, taking care of the restroom, that sort of thing. And so we want to continue to use media and engage the students with that and build a library of those videos. All right, any questions so far on that first section, safe and supportive schools?
Nope, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, so on the second one, community engagement. So we know that we have to continue to provide ongoing information to parents through our newsletters, through the School Connect, and on the website. Just it's really important, we know, and making videos for parents. And I think you might have mentioned it last month, Kelly, just, that whole idea of the pick-up patrol. Not everybody really understands what it is and how to use it, so making more videos to support families with that. So we know we need to continue to disseminate information, just putting it everywhere so that folks can find it and have a better understanding of how the school operates. And then in line with that, is we want to establish a family mentor program. So that's 2.3. And that came from, if you scroll down just a little bit, yeah, so that came from the survey. So many of you know that we send a survey out in the spring. And we had some ideas from parents that maybe like a family mentor program might be beneficial at the elementary. And so we're gonna take that and run with it and try to obtain just a small handful, 3 to 5 families. And families, we want, we want children in there. We want students from the middle high school. We want families to be able to come to the elementary when we have like a tech night or an event, and help to make it a little bit more comfortable for other families who don't so much know or understand or don't quite feel like they are engaged in the school community. So we want to build that. And like I said, we want to take the idea and run with it. So we read it in the feedback, and we said, oh, okay. But now we have to kind of put it together. So we're gonna work backwards. We're gonna build it. So, but we like the concept, and because the concept, what it does is it helps other families feel comfortable and like they belong. And that's really important to us. So, our Safe and Supportive Schools Committee is really excited about that. So, those are all those folks I mentioned a little while ago. All right, so we are going to continue to share the attendance data. So Jess and Naomi just talked a bit with us about that. So that's under 2.3, where it says outline the attendance procedures throughout the year and share ongoing attendance data. So in our survey, we did put our attendance procedures. We asked if folks felt like it was clear, if it made sense. So the bulk of the feedback we received was that yes, that it was clear, and that, I guess the folks that responded to this survey felt like it was good, it needed to be in place, we didn't really need to change anything, and it didn't necessarily apply to them. Okay. Because they're sending their kids to school, their children had good attendance.
Yeah, still.
So, right. But what we want to do, and so some of the suggestions that we heard were, just continue to share the data, continue to communicate on how attendance is going. So we'd like to continue to do that. All right, any questions about that section so far?
I think that's a great idea with the family mentor. Love it.
Okay.
Absolutely love it.
I'm going to ask a question. It's been a minute since I've had a student at the elementary school. So when a student is going to be absent, what is the mode of notifying the school that a child's going to be absent for the day? Because I know what it is at the middle high school, but at the elementary school, what is it?
Is the CES absent?
It is.
Email
okay.
address, yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure that it was that
Those
it
of
was
us who
still the
remember
email.
to actually send it. That's my biggest problem. I usually do, but
If parents don't send an email by a certain point of the day, do you send a reminder?
We
or
send
an email?
it's
Like
an
the MS?
email,
Okay.
yes.
I know the
It
middle
used to
high
be a
school
phone
does, so-
call.
Okay.
A few years ago, it was a phone call, so now it's an email. And, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And-
I just
and
needed a refresher.
That usually happens by 10 o'clock. So we have,
yeah.
Okay.
and sometimes parents will email or call us back, and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to let you know.
Yep.
And sometimes we might have made a mistake. That does happen, and so they'll call and they'll say, wait, my child is in school. Yes, it is. That is scary, but sometimes, yes, there is a reality that there's human error there, and then we'll just apologize because yes, they're there. It's sometimes you're doing attendance quickly as a teacher.
Yeah.
But yes, that's how it works.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the next section under Elevate Teaching and Learning, we have a few things that we've highlighted because this section is really about supporting the teachers, building capacity of all the educators. And so what we've worked on, Dr. Erickson and I, along with Dr. Pinella and Dr. Stahl. I'm surrounded by doctors. I'm so fortunate. I learned so much. That's so awesome. All right, so we've been working with the instructional coaches. At the elementary, we have 2 coaches. One is for a math coach, and one is the reading coach, Kate Moore and Jen Kelly. And over the last couple of years, we've really had to adjust our modeling approach. And so what we are going to do is advance that model to support teachers, again, just to ensure that they're delivering best practices, so it's building on their pedagogy, really helping them to understand the curriculum, so it's the bridges or the units of study, and then ensuring that they're working closely in, sometimes it might be a formal coaching cycle for some educators, sometimes it might be more of a consult, side-by-side planning lessons. So we really have invested a lot in that, and really that's because PD these days is more customized, or at least PD at Carver Elementary School is very much customized to meet the needs of the educator and help them so that they're building their skills. And I will tell you, one of the things that we recognize, and this happens, when you have educators that have been with you for years, and let's think about Deb Diswaldo, Bob Baldo, Jen Mitchell, who's just retired, you lose a lot of skill, and it takes years to build that back. So it's really important that our instructional coaches are really working closely with the new teachers to build that skill. It takes time. But again, the next section is supporting teachers with the implementation of our new writing program. So our Literacy Council has worked over the years to identify sort of like steps and benchmarks of how we're unrolling our curriculum. So it was units of study reading first, and now units of study writing is coming up. And so we're also updating our math program. It's still Bridges, don't worry, but it's just a new, some revisions have been made. So that's what the second bullet is. And then the co-teaching model is really, we're working there to strengthen that model. That is in regards to our special education teachers. So we have a special education teacher at each grade level, and there's 2 inclusion teachers. So if you think about it, in some cases there's an ESP, so it's a team of 4. And so you're working with them to really be able to support them so that they're teaching together, because ideally, when you're in a classroom teaching as a special ed teacher, you have to work well together. You can't, one of you can't be talking over the other or contradicting the other, that sort of thing. So, and when you're teaching concepts, there's different ways to do it, but you're sometimes capitalizing on each other's strengths. So that's that section there. And then we're going to continue using our NWEA data. That's that next section. And then under 3.2, continue to strengthen our common planning time. So this has been such a huge bonus for us this year, so I do want to talk about it a little bit. We talked about this a few months ago. It's a bonus block. So it's really, yes, it's the bonus block, but it's common planning time for teachers. And so I just can't tell you how much we all really truly benefited from this time working together, because actually bonus block ended right around May 17th, and everyone was like, oh, why we need it, we need to meet with the teachers, the kids missed going to bonus block. So anyway, this common planning time, we've been really able to focus on some topics and get them lined up for next year. And it's really a focus time for the instructional coaches and admin to sit together with grade level teachers. So you can imagine a team of 6 or 7 teachers with, coaches and admin. So you're about 12 folks, they're really working together on looking at student data, and it's all about the students, making decisions and adjusting our practices. So that's gone really well for us. And then the next section is strengthening our IST process. So the IST is instructional study team, and every school in the state of Massachusetts is required to have what's called a building-based support team. You are a team of teachers and educators that's looking closely at students and helping each other. So we have a system in place that supports teachers with this instructional study team. And teachers are able to recommend or refer students when they're having a struggle, for example. Struggling with this, or maybe it's not a student, but maybe they're struggling with a strategy for that student. And so we know that we need to strengthen that process as well, because we want to ensure that all of the strategies and the approaches that we're talking to the teachers about, that they're really focused on, again, supporting students. Yeah, so that's all I have for that section. Elevate teaching and learning. So do you have any questions for me? Okay.
No, sounds great.
All right, and then the last one, leverage leadership policy and funding. I will say, I feel a little bad, it looks a little light.
Can be light.
The other sections are quite long, so.
Right. And so here, we're going to be working on this next year. The Massachusetts, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has is currently piloting a educator rubric where they've incorporated into every single standard. There's 4 standards in the rubric. They've incorporated cultural competencies into every single standard. Within every standard, there are elements and indicators. So they've incorporated cultural competencies into every single element and indicator. So we're going to be working together at ALT this summer, and then in the fall with the teachers to work on it together and help them to, unpack it and start to live it. That's what that one is. And then supporting the special educators with the new implementation of the new IEP form. So we'll be working with Melissa Leary on that, and our special educators who have been spending time with her, getting to know the whole new process. Lots of exciting things.
Yes, there's only 2 bullets there, but there's an incredible
They're
amount of
hefty.
work that's going to go into both
Yeah.
of those bullets, so we're well aware, so thank you.
Thank you.
And
You're right.
There's an incredible amount of work there. Anyway, sorry. Right, were you going to say something, Scott? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope,
No?
I'm good.
Thank you very much for
No,
coming.
I was just gonna say thank you to
For
Ruby.
presenting.
You're welcome.
Thank you to everyone on school council and the SSS committee for all of your input as well. I appreciate that you have many voices that go into putting this plan together, so thank you for your efforts.
You're very
I know
welcome.
it takes a lot of work. I remember from way back when.
Well, it's just like I said to you at the beginning, though, it really came together because everyone was really working together, and the school council really wanted to be a part of it more than ever. So it was actually like going over this with you tonight was really a pleasure, because it was a lot of all the players, all the stakeholders really involved in it.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ruby.
You're welcome.
Now we'll welcome up Christine Cabral, principal of Carver High School, to share the middle high school improvement plan.
Welcome, Mrs. Cabral.
Is that good? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Can I just start by thanking everyone, like thanking the community, thanking school committee, thanking parents, teachers. The end of the year celebrations have been fast and furious over the past week or two at Carver Middle High School, but they've been awesome and heavily attended, greatly supported, lots of love. We had our first ever 8th grade commencement Friday night, and you don't know how those things are going to go, right? And everyone was there. The auditorium was packed. The kids were excited and anxious to watch. It was so different to, in my role as principal, now 2 years, I've shake the hands of 18-year-olds as they're walking across the stage for graduation. So different 14-year-olds. They're like shaking and they were nervous and their hands were sweaty, but they were so excited about it, and I couldn't have asked for a better evening. It was just perfect, and I just appreciate the family's support of that event. And then after that, there was like ×5 the increase in the number of students who attended the spring fling. So since 2020, those nice traditions have kind of disappeared. And we really wanted to bring those back because it's so important for the 8th graders. I mean, for my first 15 years here, every 8th grader would go to, they'd have the dance and the dinner and then Six Flags afterwards. And it all just kind of dwindled away. So it was really nice to see that coming back. And I appreciate the community's support in that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It was great.
Yeah,
They were great
thank you.
events.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
students did a
everything
great
was-
job too. The words of wisdom were
Yeah.
really good.
They all did such a great job. Thank you for working with Mr. Antel and your team to put that together.
Yeah, so
It's a
thank
great
you.
new tradition.
Thanks. So school improvement plan, I'd like to thank the members of my school improvement council. Working with me was Maria Calvo, the Spanish teacher, Chris Carboni, athletic director, 2 parents, Adam Holmes and Tara Stone, and an 11th grade student, Kaylee Shirtliff, and 12th grader, now graduate, Dylan Young. And Dylan worked diligently on this committee with me for the past 2 years. He will be missed with us next year. So like Ruby, my committee met monthly to really thoroughly go through our existing improvement plan and talk about the progress that was really significant in everything that was on our current plan. And then when we got through that, just about into just the beginning of the second semester and had gone over our work, we started to talk about, well, what do we want it to look like next year? And that's what I'll present to you tonight. While I won't go over all of the bullets, because some of them they're just going to stay here. Like we will continue our Ellis protocols, we will continue our PBIS work, but I wanted to highlight some of these things. So I'll start with the support safe schools column. Redefine the logistics of WIN again. So WIN is the what I need block. It's a half-hour block in the middle of the day where students have choice in what they'd like to participate in. We're finishing our second year with the implementation of it. It just could be better, and we recognize that. While I think there's a lot of benefits to it, I think the students appreciate it, I think the staff appreciates it, but I think, particularly at the high school level, they'd like there to be a little more structure in it for the students, maybe a little bit more academic focused, while still providing the students the opportunity for a break and to have choice. Where I think that the middle school staff is more, the 6th and 7th graders more want WIN, just let the kids choose what they need to do for the motor break in the middle of their day. So we're looking at different options for that for next year. To maintain and create additional student advisory councils. Over the last 2 years, we've had several councils. They've included groups of students we call the Principals Council. They would come up with really their own agenda and discussion items. They've joined, we've had groups talk about grading, athletics, diversity, and DEI. So we want to continue. It's good to have student voice and increase student voice in the building, so we want to continue to create and maintain those groups. The athletic director that we just met, Kelsey, we're going to ask her to review and revise our current athletic handbook and safety protocols, so that will be something we're talking to her about looking at. And then the other thing I'll talk about in this column is the 6th grade orientation. So this past year was the first year we implemented a 6th grade orientation. All but one of our incoming 6th graders attended it. So they wanted it, they were looking for it, it was well attended. We think it was a great day for them. But now we're even looking to enhance it to include an orientation for parents. And that idea was brought to us by teachers that maybe while it's usually us, last year we had student council members, high school student council members work with the students during their orientation time with the admin team. But we're looking at maybe having teachers or other people meet with the parents while their kids are with us getting the student orientation, provide orientation for parents, how to access Aspen, what questions do you have for us, what are like some of the protocols, what do you expect for communication, email and things like that, our expectations for the students, and have a shorter parent orientation.
Nice.
So are there any questions for me in the Safe and Supportive Schools? All right, I'll move on to engage the community. The first two items on this they really are related. It's about expanding our partnerships with local businesses, to expand our internship programs and our pathways programs, our project-based learning, like the student showcase we had in February, where again, we invited the elementary school families to come up, as well as the middle high school families to come, where we showcase student work in the hopes to promote our pathways and let people come in and see the building and know what's available to their students as they come up in Carver, because we have an awful lot to offer, and particularly as we continue to expand our pathways. Third time's a charm. I'm going to expand our PTO, develop our PTO next year. I think this is my year. But I do have some parent interest in starting a PTO, and I've had some conversations with some people, so I'm looking forward to getting that started. To explore the expansion of partnerships with the community through the Community Garden Project and the culinary program. So I don't know what that's going to look like, so we're going to go on exploration. But we're really excited about this. I don't know if you've seen the garden, the community garden that we're making it's in the back of the building. But our art teachers, Jen Genovese and Sue Wally, was part of their professional practice goal this year to develop that space so it's a pretty garden outdoor space where teachers can bring students outside to work, or members of the community could come, and in partnership with the community, Jen Genovese has reached out to Carver gardeners, and they're working through like some donations and plant donations, and I think they're working with the library. They're going to create it's a chest, like a piece of furniture, a bureau that the art students are decorating, but it's going to be a seed exchange so that people can be taking and giving and taking from that. And yes, I think that, so we're looking forward to the community garden as that continues to develop. Students in art classes also are making like mosaics and totem poles, and they're decorating, and it really looks fun and beautiful, and it's going to be a nice space as it continues to grow. Also, the culinary program, we're not sure what that's going to look like as we expand that, but we're really proud of that space. We have a state-of-the-art culinary room that, I don't know when that opened, maybe a month ago, but we're going to start to have conversations about what we can do to bring the community in to take advantage of that space as well. And then our next item is to develop an alumni organization in process to maintain communication with our graduates and foster relationships between alumni and current students. So really looking forward to this. And there's been some members of the community that have already expressed an interest in being part of that. Don't know how we're going to I'd like to create some type of a tracking system for our graduates and where they go, and just make a connection, and it's all going to lend itself to our pathways and our pathways and making connections with people, which will just provide more opportunities for our students.
That's great.
The founding member.
So any questions about that?
Oh, there's some alumni at the table.
Are you going to sign up right now?
She's from the first graduating class, and I'm from the first that was not part of the Plymouth Carver district, so.
We're old, that's what we're saying. It's called old.
Yeah.
1989.
Experienced.
The very first year.
Experienced.
She's
Any
a founding
questions on
father.
engage the community?
No, it's a fantastic idea.
There's a lot in there.
Yes.
That we,
And there are a couple parents
There's a
who've
lot of
been
alumni
reaching
still
out.
in town, so.
Yeah, and
that
there's a
should
couple people
be-
in town who are interested in
Oh, yeah.
formulating and creating
Yeah.
that alumni
I'm sure
group.
there are.
So we're going to try to tap into them, and I do think it's something that has to be in many ways led by the alumni. Certainly,
Yeah.
we want to support and
Yeah.
work with the alumni group. But obviously social media helps a lot as well, because you just see where you do that research of where everybody is. And try to make those outreaches and connections with
I mean,
those
there are
graduates who are all over the country, all over the
There are
world.
some Facebook pages already for Carver
Yeah,
alumni,
there's
different
tons.
years.
We're
And
planning
there's,
our
yeah.
35th year reunion for August this year. So yeah, there's a ton of people that would be willing to help out with this.
That'd be great.
By the way, our first valedictorian was a girl in my class, so, Sharon. I was texting her from graduation going,
Oh.
this reminds me of you.
Right, so I'll move on to enhanced teaching and learning. So the first two items on this list involve our vision of the graduate and instilling it, embedding it in our curriculum documents, and how do we assess students' progress toward developing the skills identified in the vision of the graduate, and also talking about like the grading policies. And these two items were brought to us through our NEASC. They were two pieces of our priority areas. There were 5 priority areas identified from NEASC, and I'm looking forward to getting that report, because when we had our closing meeting with the members, they commended us on our work in all 5 areas, said that we had a lot of work laid before us, and that in 2 years they were impressed by what we accomplished. So I'm looking forward to their feedback. And I should also note, like, some of this, once I get that report, we probably won't get it till early fall, want to see what their recommendations were, and we might add to this or tweak what I'm reading to you right now based on that feedback.
Great.
But we'll continue our work in those areas, in progress in that. Research and select leadership training workshops, opportunities for students, staff, and coaches. That was brought to us from some of the parents' feedback, and thought that was a great idea. We had lots of conversation, maybe looking into the MIAA and what programs they have available for leadership, and see if we could bring something to our school for those groups. We will continue to promote the Pathways program. This was our first year where we had the term-based 8th grade exploratory classes. So really just revise the curriculum, revisit that, look at the work we did this year and what needs to be tweaked in that area. Expand the use of our interactive learning spaces. There's just such a lot of great space now with the greenhouse, the TV studio, the culinary room. How can we best use that space to enhance student learning? And then I think I'll skip down. We'll soon be sharing information. I'm not sure, I think it'd be premature for me to share it right now, but we have done a lot of investigating on how to bring professional development opportunities to the building and to different groups of people in from DEI committee. So I know Sean and Dylan have been working very hard on that, and we'll have more information to share once we have some things locked in. Any questions on enhanced teaching and learning? And then Ruby, my list is short as well, so don't feel bad anymore. But to leverage leadership policy and funding, to continue to collaborate with the district to apply for programmatic funding and expand and develop the Pathways opportunities. We are adding a pathway next year, so that will involve funding for the clean energy. And also just all of the new space available to us through the culinary program. We'll be looking into that as well. Nice. Continue our collaboration to spend work toward the classroom modernization. So over the past, we have a 5-year plan to modernize the furniture and the space in the classrooms. We have already completed the special education department, guidance and English, and right now we're planning on updating all of the math room space for the next school year. And then the final one is to continue this partnership with Farm to School program, and that's with our the cafeteria staff, and we're putting in those hydroponic systems. She's looking into maybe more, bringing more of those where we're growing our own fresh vegetables, and it's really great, makes a big difference.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
And it makes the space pretty too.
It does.
It does, actually.
Yeah, it brightens it up.
Hey, Christine, I don't know if there's any
Questions?
questions for Christine or thoughts about the school improvement plan?
I'm very excited. I think there's been an incredible amount of work done over the last 2 years and improvements that have been made. And I applaud you and your team for the efforts that have been made so far and for the planning and looking to the future and continuing to provide additional opportunities. So I'm very excited as well.
Thank you.
So thank you. Our district has so much good stuff going on. It's great. So thank you. And thank you to everyone that assisted.
Okay, so we're ready to move on to the revised bullying prevention intervention plan?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask Christine to stay, and I'm going to ask Ruby to join her. I'm going to be doing the presentation, but just in case there's specific questions about either building, ask them to join us.
Absolutely.
Let me just share my screen in a second. So this year, we put together a bullying prevention and intervention task force that met 4 times over a few months. The task force consisted of students, parents, representatives from the Carver Police, teachers, counselors, administrators, a school committee member, and also the total plan was reviewed by our legal counsel. I do want to recognize the members who took time and served, so I'm going to take a minute and say everybody's name. So Carver Chief of Police Mark Dufley, myself, Katie Sullivan, School Resource Officer Jeremy Farquharson, Carver Middle High School Assistant Principal Dylan Antel, Carver Middle High School Assistant Principal Sean McGinnis, who was the co-chair of the task force, Dr. Jessica Pinella, who was the co-chair of the task force, Assistant Principal at the elementary school, Special Education Department Chair for the Middle High School, Angie Townsend, Carver Middle High School Adjustment Counselor Sean Vance, Carver Elementary School Teacher Abby Simmons, Carver Elementary School Teacher Jocelyn Kelly, parent Carrie Cagle, parent Ryan Rossett. Then we had several students, 5th grade student ambassador Jalen Wynott, 5th grade student ambassador Samantha Munstis, 8th grade student Maddie Eaton, 8th grade student Landon Salavota, 11th grade student Derek King, and 11th grade student Julia Grimes were the members of the task force. So I just want to thank them for their time and dedication to our process. So, just general updates from the plan. I guess I want to make a general statement of our plan was in good shape. And there wasn't a lot of revisions that needed to be made. Overall, our revisions are kind of minor and programmatic because within the plan, we're going to see that we list all kinds of programs and resources that are available to students. And some of those programs and resources changed. So some were removed, some were added in that were new. But that's where the major revisions took place. In terms of the substance of the plan, in terms of definition of bullying, policies, processes, procedures, we made very little adjustment there because it was in line with what it should be. But I'm going to take some time tonight to go over those things because I think it's important for the community to hear. What are the policies and procedures? How do I report bullying? What happens when I do report bullying? Though they're not really revisions to the plan, I'm just going to kind of reemphasize what the plan says about those topics.
Great.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Just in terms of general updates, we updated all the names, we updated all the forms. As you know, you recently approved the school committee policy related to bullying. We made some changes in that, so the updated policy is in there. And the latest version of the MOU with the police in terms of our communication was also added to the plan. So those were kind of the general updates that were made overall. And now I'll kind of go through the plan in order of where the changes were. In leadership, there was one kind of major change, and it was really just a statement of revise the vision statement to reflect some of the students who may be more vulnerable to bullying based upon actual perceived differences related. And it's kind of that list of backgrounds or ancestry that may impact someone or may cause someone to be bullied. Some of that is legal, so some of this came right from legal counsel saying, here's what that new list of statuses are. But I want to take some time to reference them and say them. So perceived differences related to race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, sex, socioeconomic status, homelessness. A change was academic status. So someone who's a really strong student could be bullying someone who's not a strong student, or vice versa. Someone a student who's really strong could be getting could be bullied based on other people's concern about them being strong or pointing out that they're strong. So academic status was a new status. Gender identity or expression, physical appearance, pregnant or parenting status. This was actually added, so this is a change. Pregnant and parenting status was not in the list prior. Sexual orientation, mental, physical development, or sensory disability. So the changes, the additions to the list were academic status, pregnant or parenting status, sensory disability, in terms of areas where there's perceived differences that could relate to bullying. So now we're calling all those out within our plan. And then in this leadership session, we reaffirm that we'll regularly review bullying data to support the development of a positive school culture. It's not a change. Just wanted to say that that's something that we do. That is a highlight in there that the administration will look at bullying data and we'll always be working towards building a positive and supportive school climate. This is where a lot of the changes came. And so this gives there's a section 3 of the plan is access to resources and services. Because part of the whole concept of the bullying prevention intervention plan is that we're supposed to be providing students resources, A, to ensure that they're not bullying other students, to make sure they're making good decisions, living a positive lifestyle, being supportive of each other, being supportive of their classmates. And that B, if bullying does occur, there's resources that we can access to support students who are both alleged aggressors and alleged victims. So we just kind of went through the list of programs and, as I said, eliminated some. So eliminated the Accepting Differences program, eliminated DESA because it's no longer administered at the elementary school, updated the language related to the mock curriculum for grades K through 5, updated the PBIS model for K through 5 because it's now I am responsible, instead of it used to be responsible, be respectful, be ready to learn, now it's I am responsible, I am respectful, I am ready to learn. Updated the age range for Mrs. Cabral's words to wisdom because it used to just say 6 through 8 because now Mrs. Cabral does it for everybody, 6 through 12. Addition of the K-5 ALT program, Alternative Learning Program, which wasn't actually listed in there as a resource that students can use or tap into. Elimination of the Bodfin Life Skills program, et cetera, et cetera. My mind is like, I'm not going to read all these, and I just read all, so I might as well finish them all. Added guided mediation, 6 through 12. Added drug-free community grant 6 through 12 as a resource that people can tap into. So this is where like the major changes took place. It was just a reassessment of what services do we now provide that we didn't last time we went through the plan, and what programs do we no longer offer, and we updated those sections. In my mind, this is really the meat of the presentation. It's kind of a description of the definition of bullying and what are the processes and procedures. So I am, even though I read the last slide, I'm going to read this slide too. Bullying is repeated use by one or more students or by a member of the school staff, including but not limited to an educator, administrator, school nurse, cafeteria worker, custodian, bus driver, athletic coach, advisor to an extracurricular activity, or educational support professional of a written, verbal, electronic expression, or a physical act or gesture, or any combination thereof, directed at another student, a target, causing one or more of the following. And I read that definition because I do think that sometimes this isn't everybody's definition of bullying. There's some key concepts in here in terms of being repeated. So this is the legal definition. This is the law definition in the state of Massachusetts when they passed the bullying law in 2014. They said this is what we as a state is defining bullying as. So a one-time incident can't be bullying. It has to be repeated. And I think sometimes we get into that whole concept of having that conversation with parents of what's conflict versus what's bullying. Not all conflicts are bullying. And I think sometimes the community struggles with that. I think the community, I think some parents, I think some people want to define all conflicts as bullying. And the reality is, in terms of the legal definitions, it's not. And a conflict can be bad. In a conflict, a student can get consequences. And we deal with conflicts, and we work with families, and we work with students, and we provide supports. In many ways, we do some of the same things we would do with bullying. But in terms of defining it as bullying and coming to termination with bullying, it has to meet the definition. And so it has to cause one or more of the following. And then there's a very specific list. Physical, emotional harm to the targeted student or damage to his or her property. placement of the target student in reasonable fear of harm to him or herself or the damage of his or her property. A hostile environment at school for the targeted student. Infringement on the rights of the target student at school. Or material or substantial disruption to the educational process or orderly operation of the school. So one of these things have to be in place in terms of meeting the definition of bullying. The last one, which I think sometimes people don't think about, but it's important to remember there needs to be a power imbalance between the alleged aggressor and the target in order for the action to be considered bullying. That's a judgment call, right? So how do we really know there's a power imbalance? And it almost goes back to those examples that I gave back here when we were looking at this concept of, I'll use academic status, because I think it's an easy one to use. You know, what's the power imbalance? And it's interesting, it really could go either way. So I said it could be really strong students giving a student who isn't successful a hard time. You could say that's a power imbalance. But does the students who aren't as successful in school, do they have more social clout? Do they have more social power than the student who is the superstar student? And can they use that social power and use that social cult to make a student feel uncomfortable? And really, that is a little bit of the determination of the administration, the person who is looking at a report of bullying. But in terms of, in terms of at least the state's definition, there has to be a power imbalance. So we have to look at those things. It has to be repeated. There has to be a power imbalance that's been determined. And it has to take one of those things away from that list above. So there's a lot of pieces that need to be checked off to meet the legal definition of bullying as compared to students who may be having a conflict. So we didn't change any of this. This was all in the previous policy. This is no new language. This all goes back to the definition of all of this when the state established the bullying law, I believe in 2010, I think now. I said 2014, I think it was as far back as 2010. So if you believe you're being bullied, or if you believe that you're aware of a bullying incident, what do you do? And so how do you report bullying? And I could have made a larger list here. You can call one of us and meet with us. You can call anybody at the school and meet with them. You can say, this is happening. You can make a phone call. You can send an email. You can complete a bullying incident report, which is linked online. This year, as you all know, we created an online bullying reporting form. On our website, there's a whole tab dedicated to bullying, and it's on the main page. So if you go to the main page of the website, and maybe we can put it higher on the tabs, but it's there, bullying prevention and intervention reporting, and it tells you who to call, who to contact in each building. Generally in the buildings, it's listed as the assistant principals, because the reality is it's the assistant principals who are generally conducting the investigations. So that our recommendation, first point of contact is the assistant principals in each building. But ultimately, you can contact anybody. You can contact the teacher. You can call the principal. You can call Dr. Erickson. You can call Ms. Rush. You can call me. You can call Ron. You can call anybody and tell us this is happening. Now, it's going to end up back with the assistant principals. If nothing has been done, nobody's aware of it, that's where it's, because generally they're going to conduct the investigations. But you can really contact anyone. And then on this page, there's an online bullying reporting form for the elementary school, which is an easy link and an easy click. This form can be filled out anonymously, so you can go in and complete this form anonymously. The form is actually the same at the elementary school and the middle high school, it's just where it goes. So if you fill it out at the elementary school, it's Dr. Pinella and Dr. Stahl who see it. If you fill it out at the middle high school, it's Mr. McGinnis and Mr. Antel who see it. Name of the reporter, which is optional, you can be anonymous. Who are you? A student, staff member, parent, community member, because anybody can report bullying. The date of the incident, when did it occur? Where did the incident or incidents occur? Name of the alleged targets, names of the alleged aggressors, names of anybody who may have witnessed this, and then describe the incident. So we are encouraging people, if they are aware or concerned about bullying, to go online and fill out this form. So obviously, I said you can do any of these things. You can pick up the phone, you can call and set up a meeting, you can complete, there's also an incident reporting form that's a written form that people can complete. You can send us an email, you can complete the online bullying reporting form. So once a bullying report comes in, what happens? What's the next step? And this is actually a change. This is a change in the law and the regulations. And you can't tell it here. It's supposed to be highlighted, the first sentence. Even before fully investigating allegations of bullying or retaliation. That's the change. Okay? The principal or designee will take steps to assess the need to restore a sense of safety to the alleged target and or protect the alleged target from possible further incidents. So the first thing the administration is supposed to do once they're aware of any form or any report of bullying is even before they start an investigation, they're supposed to reach out to the target and say, what can we do to support you? And then there's a general list of, these aren't the only supports you could give. You could give all kinds of supports, but this is examples of the supports. Responses to support safety may include, but are not limited to, creating a personal safety action plan, predetermining seating arrangements for the alleged target and the alleged aggressor in a classroom or in the lunchroom or on the bus, identifying a staff member who acts as a safe person for the alleged target. Something we certainly almost always do is we're saying, who do you feel comfortable with? Who's the person you can go to? If you're concerned, who's the person you feel safest with in the building? Sometimes it's the administrator, sometimes it's the principal, sometimes it's a school adjustment counselor. It could be a teacher. But identifying that staff member to act as the safe person. Often the alleged aggressor's schedule and access to the alleged target. Providing check-ins with the alleged target with an adult who's been identified as a safe person. Providing check-ins with the alleged target and or the alleged aggressor. So it's not always the target who we're just checking in with. These services are also provided to the alleged aggressor, whether it be counseling, support to guidance, connection to the office, connection to the administration. So what happens? An incident concern is reported. Something has happened. Someone reports to us. Our first job is to restore this sense of safety and to do this. Do something here while we do the investigation. Then there's an investigation generally conducted by the assistant principal. And then that assistant principal makes a determination. Is this bullying or not bullying? And sometimes the determination is this was not bullying because it didn't meet the requirements up above of being repeated, or not seeing a power imbalance, or not creating an unsafe environment, or just saying, hey, the facts don't support. So you said this thing happened, the facts don't support that this thing happened. And sometimes that's a reality. And that's where we have to get into that whole concept of going back to how do we make you feel safe, right? So the facts don't support that this happened, but it doesn't mean you don't feel uncomfortable. It doesn't even necessarily mean that something didn't happen, because there is some level of reasonableness. You can't just say, just because you said it happened, that we have to determine that happened. But then we can still develop a safety plan, make the connections. How can we support you? What can we do to make sure you feel comfortable in school? And those are steps and things that we're always doing. Once a determination is made, then disciplinary action as appropriate. And disciplinary action can be taken either way. We can determine it wasn't bullying, there was a conflict, but someone still did something really inappropriate, and they need to get a disciplinary consequence for it. So the determination isn't bullying. It doesn't go into the DESE reporting of this was a bullying incident, but someone could still be disciplined because maybe they still did something that was wrong or inappropriate or unacceptable. Because you can do things that are wrong, inappropriate, and unacceptable that aren't bullying. And then our job is to offer ongoing support to all students for the targets and the aggressors, and to make sure that everyone feels safe, and throughout this process to communicate with the families. This is what the plan says is supposed to happen. So this, again, back to that whole concept of editing and changing the plan, and that wasn't totally my goal here tonight. My goal was to educate on the plan as well, because the plan was pretty structurally sound. All these things generally were already included in the plan. This is what the plan said should be happening, and this is why I'm going to say that this is what we're doing. But I want to reiterate with the community, those who are listening, the committee, that these are the processes and procedures that we follow. A thing we did add, so this was a change, this was not in the plan. So we have to add, regardless of the outcome of an investigation, the principal or designee will inform parents about the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's what's called PRS, Program Resolution System, and how to access that system. And then it's information on how do you do that. So this has been added into the plan, and it's also been added onto our website. Ultimately, no matter what the determination is in a bullying case, the process is, in terms of a parent, if they feel like it's wrong, like we've made a mistake, that we've mismanaged the system, that we haven't followed this process, that we haven't done these things, if it was the assistant principals who are the lead, they can go to the principal. If they're upset with what the principal has to say, they can come to me. If they're upset with my response then their next turn is to DESE, to this PRS system, and they can file a PRS complaint. And if a PRS complaint is filed, then DESE conducts an external investigation. And they'll talk to all the parties involved. They'll talk to the school district and get the school district's perspective on what steps they took to manage and what steps the district took or we took to follow these policies and procedures, to follow these steps. And then they'll listen to the parent side of it. And depending on what steps it takes, they can either make a determination just by talking to both sides and getting written documents from both sides, or they can actually come down and formally conduct an investigation. As a district, we've had very few PRS complaints. I haven't had one as a superintendent that's gone to a formal investigation where they've actually come down and done an investigation. We have had a couple where we had to give written responses, and then DESE makes a determination and says, no, the district followed all the policies and procedures that they were supposed to in regards to bullying, or no, the district didn't, and here's our recommendations of the steps the district needs to take to improve its performance. So that is something that is available to parents, and it was not in the plan, so it's now in the plan. That's been added to the plan. All right, I've said a lot of things, so I don't know if we want to stop and ask questions there, or comments, or thoughts, or...
Anyone? It's a lot of information. I appreciate you giving the details so that members of the community can understand a little bit more of the practices and the procedures that are already in place, because I feel like the communication for some is there, the communication for others is not. So I'm thankful that you're also going to be introducing the communication plan.
So one thing that the committee felt strongly about, the task force, was our own self-reflection as a task force was we're not communicating enough with the community. So that actually became fairly evident early on in our meetings. And within the first, because we even talked about the online bullying reporting form, right? And just talking about I read the members of the group who were there, and then we kind of went around the room and said, who knew about the online bullying reporting form?
I think I was one of the only ones.
Katie knew.
I knew, but I feel like a lot of teachers didn't know.
Dr. Piniella knew, and Mr. McGinnis knew, and the administration knew. But we felt like not enough members of that committee really knew that an online bullying reporting form existed that could be anonymous. So we didn't do a good enough job of communicating that. And we didn't do a good enough job of communicating the policies and procedures. We didn't do a good enough job communicating this is what happens and this is what's supposed to happen. So that a parent can say, hey, I reported this concern, but no one's had a conversation with my student or me about how we're going to restore a sense of safety. And maybe sometimes, certainly we want to listen if the parent's like, hey, you said you're going to do this to restore a sense of safety, but can you try this? We're certainly open to have those discussions. But do they have that language? Do parents have that language to say, hey, I reported this, now the next step is you're supposed to restore a sense of safety. What's happening with that? So we feel strongly that we need to communicate this. So the task force actually developed a communication plan. So spring of 2024, the school committee presentation and approval of the revised bullying prevention and intervention plan, which is tonight, which is obviously really late in the school year. That once the plan is revised, we'll post it on the school district website. So, this evening I'll be looking for a vote to approve the revised plan. Once that's done, we'll take the old plan down off the website, we'll put the new plan up. And then I'm certainly going to do it but, you know, the plan was that I would do a district-wide communication about the plan and the online bullying reform sometime this week. So assuming the school committee approves the plan, you know, maybe Wednesday this week, I will send out, tomorrow I'm going to send out an email about Kelsey Kincaid. So my thought is Wednesday I'll send out an email. I don't want to send those out together. Kelsey Kincaid, bullying, film, online bullying. And then Wednesday I'll do a district-wide communication that says, hey, we just revised the school committee just approved the revised bullying prevention and intervention plan. Here it is, 51-page document, which people aren't going to necessarily look at or read. But you should also know we have this online bullying reporting form, and you should be aware that this exists. And then ongoing each year, faculty and staff training, including information about the online bullying form. We do faculty and staff training. We've always done that, but we're going to specifically include the online bullying form. And I will say we didn't have neither staff to my knowledge did we have a staff meeting about the online bullying reporting form. Partly because that's not how staff would report bullying. You know, there's an expectation actually stated in the plan. They're required to report bullying. So if staff members become aware of bullying, they're not going to go onto the online bullying form. If they technically shouldn't be doing that. I mean, could they? I guess so. But you know, in ways they're mandated reporters. They have to report it to the administration. But it would have maybe been good to talk to staff about it so that they could inform parents. You know, because staff sometimes is a conduit to informing parents that these things exist. So we have to incorporate that into our bullying presentations that we do each year with staff. Grade level presentations during the opening of school include the online bullying form in that, because students can certainly fill that out. Create business cards with a QR code link on the online bullying form, locate and place them throughout the buildings. So we're going to create little cards that will be in guidance in the office that someone can just pick up and grab, have a link to the online bullying reporting form. We're going to develop posters. Actually been working with Signs by Design. Peter Allegrini has very nicely agreed to do all the signs and all the posters for free. So they're not done yet. Our goal, we're actually thinking we're going to have them this week. So they'll be finalized this week. We're not going to put them up until the fall at this point. I'm not going to put them up on Friday. But we'll be putting up posters with QR code to the link to the online bullying form and locations throughout the buildings. As I said, they're donated by Signs by Design. Have hard copies of the online bullying reporting form available at open houses. Have hard copies of the online bullying reporting form in school offices. Family communication. So at the district level, an email with the plan and information on online bullying form I will do that again in the fall. So I'm going to do that Wednesday. But then even in my Wednesday email, I was thinking about saying I'll probably write something in there. I realized there's only a couple days left in school. We wanted to make sure you're aware of this. You're going to see this again the first week of school. We're going to send it back out at that time. And then we're going to ask Ruby and Christine to include information about it in their monthly newsletters at the school level. And then regular check-ins with students. So, you know, the student group really felt like we just got to talk to students on a regular basis. So we kind of developed this plan of twice per year, fall and spring, talk to student council at the middle high school, talk to the student government, talk to the 4th and 5th grade student ambassadors, captain's council, student athletic advisory council, the principal student advisory council, the school committee student advisory council. Is just bring these to all these student groups and say, what's happening? What do you see happening? What are you aware of? What are you concerned about? Where should we be looking? What are we missing? And then doing a student survey every 2 years, starting in even years. So in the fall of 2024, we would do a survey, and then every 2 years repeat that, and just kind of look at the data over time in terms of students' thoughts about school safety, positive school climate. We already do some of that survey data with the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. I will say generally when we do that survey data, the overall feeling on climate and culture is positive, and students generally report they feel safe in school. A lot of times that percentage is up to 90, 95%. Obviously we want it to be 100%, but we've never done survey data like that before, and they've come back and 50% of the kids say they don't feel safe in school. That's not the data we get. But we have agreed to do a survey every 2 years. And we just want to put more of this information out here. And I think that part of that communication piece also has to be that process of these are the steps that are going to occur. This is what's going to happen if, and I know it's a simple list, and this looks really simple on paper, but this is a lot of work. Reporting the incident, restoring a sense of safety, conducting an investigation, making a determination, taking disciplinary action. This depending on the incident, sometimes this process can take a couple days, sometimes this process can take a couple weeks in terms of investigation, determination, disciplinary action, and then obviously ongoing support. So with all of that, I did put it in your background, a draft with all the edits, so you could see the edits that were made on the plan, and then also a finalized version of the plan with all the edits included. So I would certainly open it up to questions. Ruby and Christina, sorry I brought you up, I thought you get questions then too. Open up to questions, and would also recommend a vote to approve the revised bullying prevention and intervention plan. Or thoughts? Questions, thoughts?
I like QR code. The use of the QR code is good.
Yeah, and I like that idea of doing the posters. So, and that kind of came a couple different directions. So the task force came up with that idea. And then actually Stephanie shared with me another school district that done something similar. And I said, oh, the task force is an idea of the task force. And then Mr. Allegrini on his own called and said, hey, I can make you posters with a QR code. And we said, well, yeah, that was already part of our plan. That's something we wanted to do, but if you want to do that for us, that's great. So that idea kind of generated itself in a couple different areas.
Wow, it's really quiet in here.
It is.
I'm actually just looking at a couple of the different updates that have been made. One thing I just wanted to ask, are the social skills groups still occurring?
At the
That's-
element-
that
at
are
the
mentioned?
I was going to say yes, because there were counselors on both teams that went through that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. 'Cause I don't know if most people are aware, but it's in the plan. So I encourage everyone who has a concern about bullying or learning more about what the district does on a daily basis to really read the plan. There's a lot of information in here that can be helpful. And again, I always encourage people to contact the district, because literally every single person that works in our district cares about our students and our staff feeling safe and supported while they're in school. I appreciate all of the efforts that went into putting this together. I know it's a lot of work. I'm sure a lot of challenging conversations. It's important, and I appreciate the effort that was put into it. And I greatly appreciate the communication plan, because communication is key. So I'm hoping that the community will engage with that and reach out, use the form, or contact their safe person at school. So I appreciate all the efforts. And thank you for bringing this to us. So members of the community can hear about it, and we can hear a little bit more about all of the efforts that were put into it. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? I guess I do have one question. So you said the survey every 2 years, and that's based on the climate responses that you typically receive in other?
No. I'm saying we're going to survey every 2 years. We haven't identified the survey we're going to use yet.
Yeah,
I'm saying in the past, we've used other survey
Yep.
data.
And environment has never been, I'm not, I guess I'm a little thrown off by the 2 years. How did the 2 years come about?
The recommendation from DESI was actually every 4 years. The law required every 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, and then they're looking for the recommendation of every 2 years. I mean, certainly if you wanted to do it every year, you could do it every year. But the committee, the task force talked about it and recommended every 2 years.
My only concern with every 2 years is what if you miss, doing it every 2 years as a group of students that you miss coming in from, let's say, is it going to be 6 through 12, or is it going to be all the way through?
We haven't determined that yet.
Okay. Only,
I know surveys sometimes have been concerned, well, when we survey at the elementary schools, become, some people are
That's gonna be
concerned
very
about.
interesting.
Yep.
that.
Third grade,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm just thinking of the older grades, actually, like you miss those kids that would be leaving to go to other schools and why they would be going to other schools if they happen
But
to skip that
we
year.
do a student exit survey.
we do, okay.
So there is a student exit survey of everyone who leaves the district, which we
Okay.
look at in the fall. So we always review that data. We ask everyone who unenrolls in the district to complete an
Okay.
student exit survey is why they're unenrolling.
Thank you for that explanation.
Appreciate
Very
that.
much appreciated.
Yeah.
So if someone would like to make, unless someone has any more questions or any comments?
Okay, I move to approve the bullying prevention and intervention plan as revised by the Bullying Prevention and Intervention Task Force.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Again, thank you to members of that team and administration and our students and everyone that went and had a say in updating this, and thank you for bringing it to us in such detail tonight. We appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you. So moving on, next up is elementary school handbook.
Yes,
And we'll have
so-
Dr. Trella and Dr. Stahl come back.
I'm back. I'm back. You didn't get rid of me yet? No. Okay, so Carver Elementary School handbook revisions. This is really just the meat and potatoes of what was changed. Just
Yep.
you didn't need every grammatical punctuation, and there's a lot of things we don't know yet, like staff assignments for the fall and whatnot. But the major things that we changed was the homework, attendance, and then we did move the location of where reporting an absence is and gave it its own header and moved it to the beginning of the handbook, just so it was more easily accessible because it was kind of buried in the attendance section. So on the very first page, it just shows what was in the handbook. And if it's long. If you keep scrolling, it has homework pointers for parents. We determined that it doesn't really belong there. And I should include input for the handbook revisions was from a few school council members, a teacher, a parent, so it was Joyce Macrina, Saren Craig. The SSS, the Safe and Supportive Schools Committee, took a look at certain sections like attendance, our instructional coaches, our math coach Jen Kelly, reading coach Kate Moore, Dr. Erickson was there, Mrs. Maestas was there. We looked at the homework procedures, and we've been talking about homework with the curriculum team leaders. So we call them CTLs. I know there's a lot of abbreviations used, but every grade level has a team leader, and their input we really value. So if you scroll down to where it's yellow, it's that pale yellow, which is interesting. Mrs. Maestas used the same color for her revisions. We didn't plan that. But it shows that what was changed. So the homework pointers for parents was removed, and it'll be replaced with a chart created by our curriculum team leaders this summer. But we've had many conversations because we definitely want every grade level for the homework to build, gradually until the students are in 5th grade and they transition into middle school. And going to a new building in general is a shock, I feel like, for anybody, and leaving the environment that you're accustomed to. So, having them be prepared for the homework that is to come, and that increased independence and organization, time management, everything that goes along with it. So it's been a big topic of conversation at CTL meetings. We've been examining current practices, and we just want our students to be really well prepared for middle school. So it's an abbreviated version, and if it says insert chart coming soon this summer, 2024. Woohoo! So that will be added in, I promise. So stay tuned. If you continue, it's the attendance section, what it did look like. And if you actually see, it shows absences reporting as the 3rd paragraph. We moved that way up to the beginning of the handbook, so that was moved. And if you keep scrolling to where it's the pale yellow, The reporting an absence paragraph was moved closer to the beginning of the handbook. Additional information is provided under excessive absences. This is like what we talked about when Dr. Stahl and I were up here talking about attendance, including what happens when a student reaches 10% and 15% of the number of school days absent. And there's information provided about filing a CRA. And all of that is below. And it talks about the letter and asking a family member to attend a school meeting and whatnot. So that just details and outlines our procedure at Carver Elementary School. And then the move of the reporting absences with its own header, it's moved to the beginning of the handbook with a heading where Aspen and Pickup Patrol are. So it's the things that parents would really need to access the most, I feel like. Because you don't need the absence email until you need it. And then it's like, what is it again? So it's easily accessible now where families can find it. And those are really the big changes. Down below, if you keep scrolling, I did include student artwork.
Yeah, it's great.
So for the cover, which is cute, and then We Are Just What the World Needs. You might be, if you have elementary school kids, the Change Sing song that we have this year. And we are expanding upon that theme for next year. And then the Change Sings below. So we'll put that in the handbook to have some, it's a student handbook, so there's some student work on the cover and as part of it. And those are the changes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Easy peasy.
Appreciate all the work.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, we know.
Any questions about anything, or?
And thanks for moving that to the top for those of us who forget.
No, I understand. Absolutely.
No, it's
Fantastic.
it's great.
Yep. Love it, love it. Okay.
Anyone, no questions, comments? Thank you for all the, thank you for being here. Thank you for the efforts.
Thank you.
Do we need to?
We need a motion to
Okay, I was
approve,
gonna say we need a
yep, the
motion to
revisions.
approve.
Okay, I move to approve the revised elementary school student handbook.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillip.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to capital outlay, reorganization of the school committee.
Yeah, so as our last meeting, we tabled the appointment of the capital outlay committee, so we just need to revisit that. So I guess I'll turn it back to the committee in terms of revisiting the discussion of appointing a member to capital outlay.
Yes, so since I had asked for this to be back on specifically because since our last meeting, I found out that I think all of us did, I think I shared it with everyone, that there's a bylaw that was updated, I guess, approved at town meeting in 2021, that states that all appointees to the capital outlay committee are for 3-year appointments, which we were unaware of. I was certainly not, I was unaware of that. In my 8 years, we've always voted someone
Every year.
each year, and it's
And it
never
doesn't,
been the same person.
I'll give you my personal perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because you'd almost always have to promote whoever the new member is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if your membership's for 3 years, and you appoint someone, they may not even
Right.
be on the committee 3 years.
And
Like,
exactly.
so it just, it doesn't make a lot of,
Exactly.
it
And I
doesn't make,
also-
it doesn't
I
make a lot of
think that
sense
ours-
from my perspective.
Don't our rules trump
Not a bylaw.
their like what our committee has been doing, from what I understand, is
Past practice could certainly come into play. I mean, to me, I think it's interesting that a bylaw that was created that affects the school committee without any input from the school committee, because we are a separate governing body
Yeah.
from the select board. So I have reservations about that. Again, I think it's something that we could address as a committee and, consult with our legal counsel to really get a definition of what should we follow. So we're doing the right thing going forward. So we can update our policy if we need to if that if that bylaw supersedes our policies. See, to me, it's gray. And I understand the desire for continuity.
Right.
And to say that someone's going to be a member of the select board for 3 years, they may not. To say someone's going to be a member of the FinCom, they may not. So we could, I mean, I think that is gray for every committee. So I wanted to bring it back so we could talk about it and see what everyone wanted to do. Do we want to follow it? Do we want to get more information before we make a decision? How does everyone feel
Well,
about
I think
that?
we should probably get some advice from council in the first,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does everyone agree with that?
Well, yeah.
I mean, because I just want to make sure that we're doing what we should be going
be doing.
forward.
We should update our policies or keep it the same or however it is, for sure.
Yeah, because I would like some guidance around whether or not town meeting
Yeah,
will
I'd have to
change a
do, I'd have
bylaw
to do a
that
little
affects us.
research. I don't think there's any policy directly related to this besides stating that the school committee will reorganize on the first meeting after
Yep.
each
Yeah.
election.
Yep.
You know, so there's a very specific policy about how reorganization is to occur.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we have any other policy that refers to this. I'd have to do a little research, but I don't know of a policy that refers directly to the capital outlay committee or appointments of committees besides saying that
Yeah,
we'll reorganize the first meeting after the election.
yep.
Does anybody really want to do this? Like, I would love to still continue with it, because I enjoyed it last time. So, Bill, I know that you were put up to do it. I know that your wife is on it as well, so I wasn't sure if that was a conflict of interest.
Well, it
I'm not
wouldn't,
really sure.
my wife would step down if I was appointed, but I think, I agree with you all, it sounds like, that I don't think we can give up our autonomy to a capital outlay bylaw. It's our right to change, remove, appoint any of our representatives to anything, including the leadership of the board at any moment. That just came up in our training over the weekend.
Yep.
But I don't want to take the position from Jackie. She's there, she's doing the job, she's done a good job, so I would say we just reappoint Jackie and save ourselves a argument for the year.
Okay.
And I think gives us time to,
And if you want,
Readdress it next
I
year.
can bring this to legal counsel and just say, here's the bylaw. You know, does this bylaw actually trump the school committee's authority to?
Yep.
Yeah.
it would be good
Appoints.
to have that
Yeah,
clarification.
I can get
Yeah.
legal counsel to.
Yep. And
But
then
yeah,
on that.
it would, I think it would be a conflict if my wife and I were on the same financial committee. And also, I couldn't apply as an at-large member either, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. All right. So if you could
Well,
please get
yep,
some advice, that would be great. And then,
if someone's gonna make a motion to
yeah, I was
have
gonna say,
Jackie
as
stay, you
we
can
should
totally do that.
continue
Yep.
with our past practice of appointing someone for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay.
I move we appoint Jackie Lake to the capital outlay
I'll second.
board.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jackie, for continuing to serve. I know, I have to say, I think, thank you to town meeting for approving the budget and capital outlay. I think we're very fortunate to be in that while we're on this.
It was really interesting
Subject.
this year. It was different than any other year that they've done it. It was with the new administrators and it was nice. And I advocated for a bunch of things and I felt like I actually had some impact.
Good.
And that was really neat to see.
That's great.
That's great.
That is great. Okay, so that brings us to a proposal to create the following subcommittees. So this is me. As everyone is aware, we have a new athletic director, and one of the tasks she has been charged with, or will soon be charged with starting July 1st, will be updating our athletic policies and handbook. And this is something that I've been passionate about for a number of years, and just in thinking, okay, would be a good opportunity for the school committee to be a part of developing those policies for the district where we are involved in the overall policy manual and approving changes to the handbooks at the elementary school and the middle high school. So I thought this would be something that, where we could be effective. And I don't know if you want me to talk about each of them or talk about one.
Well, I understand the athletic policies. What are you thinking for this wellness?
So wellness,
We had a subcommittee for wellness that I was on right before I became
Technically, it wasn't a subcommittee of the school
It was
committee, it was
a-
a working group established by the
working group.
superintendent.
working group, which was really great.
Yeah, and the wellness committee could certainly, we were supposed to meet, so we did not meet this year. We're supposed to meet on a regular basis. So the wellness committee can certainly meet next year and any of the report to a subcommittee on wellness. And I don't want to steal from Stephanie's. I think that wellness committee, and I think it could change its focus. Is a lot of the focus that came from a passage of a law that required, it was about what food was served in schools. And that's how that's kind of started. And it was like every school district had to develop a wellness committee to talk about how they were going to implement the new policies in regards to students living a healthy lifestyle. And then it went beyond just food. It went into healthy lifestyle and physical education, and I don't think our current wellness plan has a lot of mental health components to it. I think Stephanie might be looking for something that's more tied to social emotional wellness, mental health, but certainly the wellness committee could take that up and add that in, and it's supposed to regularly update our wellness plan. I don't know if that's every 3 years or every 4 years, but on a regular basis, we're supposed to update our wellness plan. We did it last year. We updated it. We submitted it to DESE. It was approved, and then the committee is supposed to meet on a regular basis. So it didn't meet this year. That's my fault that it didn't meet this year. We could certainly have the wellness committee meet on a regular basis going forward, and maybe look at some of that mental health, social emotional pieces and what we could add into that plan to support all students in terms of developing a positive and supportive, continue to develop and increase our ability to have a positive and safe and supportive environment for all students. But Stephanie, I said a lot. I just said a lot.
That's fine. That's fine. I appreciate it. I created a subfolder on the school committee drive under school committee subcommittees. I created one for athletic policies, and I created one for wellness. And I wanted to introduce this concept to everyone. We don't necessarily have to approve this tonight, but I did some research, and there are a number of different districts in our state. I didn't go nationally yet, that do have either a wellness committee or a health and wellness committee or a school climate committee. And Framingham is the one that I shared the most from, because I thought that they had a really good, they have a grid, like they have action steps, they have goals, they have regular meetings, they work in conjunction with, clearly administration. So I'm just going to read it, like a little bit of it briefly. You can all, take the time to look at it. It says the subcommittee will work with Framingham Public School administration, staff and student governance, and other student organizations to develop reporting on student and staff physical, social, emotional health, and wellness, and to make appropriate recommendations to the full school committee. So areas in their specific scope include, but not limited to, vaping, alcohol use, smoking, other drug or substance use, nutrition, physical activities, sports, intramurals, transportation, alignment with student schedules, facilities, EE, COVID-19, stressors, stress management, homework loads, alignment of school start times with student biorhythms, absenteeism, classroom environment, et cetera, those types of
It's a lot of stuff.
issues. It's a Framingham.
It's everything that goes on in school.
Yeah, right. They whoever put this together did an incredible amount of work.
Does this look for students to be a part of it as well? Because I feel like that is problematic with what I've experienced with how busy our students are already.
Yep.
And trying to fit something else for them.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, and there is students have input into the other
There were
working group?
students on the wellness committee.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this would be more for us to partner. We could certainly share the information with students, share the information with student council, with student ambassadors, those types of things. So I was really just looking like, how can we enhance wellness for our students, for our staff, for our teachers? Like, what role can we play in, I guess, taking a look at resources that we could potentially bring for consideration?
And just a reminder that any subcommittee has to follow all the rules of open meeting law, just like the
Yep.
full committee as a whole. So all the meetings have to be posted with an agenda, minutes have to be taken, votes have to be made and accounted for, and, all those things, all the things that the full committee would do. Where a working group established by the administration doesn't necessarily have to follow all those rules and guidelines. And the concept is that they're helping inform the administration to make decisions and that impact the school district. And I'm not saying that to be against a subcommittee, but in some ways I would think a wellness subcommittee would have to, you'd have some few structured meetings each year where you'd ask people to come and present to you like what's happening, whether it be students, administration.
I mean,
I think it's going to be a group of 20 people who meet once a month.
right. And also, if I put in the Mass General Law surrounding the school wellness advisory committees, and it does mention in here that a school committee member can also be part of that committee. So I really wanted to have this discussion to see what everyone's, I guess, opinion was, to get your input. Because I just want us to, I guess, support in ways that are effective. And just given, I don't know, just it's just more like resource sharing. And
the school committee could certainly appoint a member to the wellness committee. As long as it's only one member, it doesn't.
It wouldn't have to follow open meeting law.
And then,
so this was just something that I wanted us to consider. And of course, as I was doing my research, I stumbled upon the school wellness advisory committees. So I was like, oh, okay. So in doing my research, I found this, and I was like, oh, okay. So I reached out to Scott and said, do we have one of these? Because it sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember. So we do have one in place. So this would be an opportunity for someone to, be part of those meetings and that discussion, and then report back to the school committee. So like I said, it was a thought that I'd seen that other districts have, so I just thought I would bring it to everyone for consideration, but also having one of us be on the school wellness advisory committee, I think would parlay into that also. So.
I'm of the opinion, athletic policies, yes, because I don't see that as we're going to be updating that guide, that the policies so often that we'd have an extra heavy lift of work following open meeting law. Wellness subcommittee, though, I'm struggling. I think we should keep that as a working group, only for the fact that wellness is very personal to a lot of people too, both mental health, physical, all of it. And I feel like that if we make that an actual formal subcommittee where we're following open meeting law and having to post things publicly, we're opening ourselves up for a world of hurt in that respect.
I think it did fine as a work group.
As a working group, I think it's fine because it's advisory. We can certainly put someone on the school committee on it. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I just think that one in particular could open a can of worms that could come back to bite us later on. That's all.
Okay, and as I said, but I found this in the midst of my research, so I thought,
No, bring it to the table.
Bring it to the table, absolutely.
This could, so anyway.
I completely agree with the working group advisory committee, like I get that, but making it a formal subcommittee I think would be problematic for us later on down the road. Whereas the athletic policies, I mean, that's kind of under our purview, policies under our purview anyway. I'm totally good with that.
Okay.
I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's just
if anyone has any opinions, feel free to chime in, because the last thing I want to do is make more work for people. I mean, us
I
or
do remember that we
anyone
had
else,
a wellness working group. I remember that from before, so.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, we presented the updated plan sometime last spring.
You did,
Yeah.
you did, yep.
And then I will make the commitment to having that group meet regularly, whether it's quarterly, 4 times a year, bring that group together, and, certainly, if you appointed a member, that'd be great.
Okay,
Okay,
so do we want
that sounds good.
Anybody else have anything?
I'm not sure how to articulate what I'm thinking, so I guess I'm not going to articulate it.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
think the first one is fine because it's under our purview. We do policy anyway, so, and it might be helpful to have somebody on there too, with history to help Kelsey because, she's coming in
Yeah.
brand new.
Definitely.
So I'm going to move to create an athletics policy subcommittee and appoint Stephanie Clordy.
I think if you're going to do it as a subcommittee, it would make sense to appoint 2 members. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And appoint.
Yeah.
I would,
Okay.
I would,
So-
yeah, I would appoint you then.
You
I
can
would
take these
appoint-
separately. So the school
Yep.
committee has to
Create the
first
subcommittee.
vote to create a subcommittee.
Okay.
You can bundle it, but you can vote first to create the subcommittee
yep, do that.
and then have a conversation about who wants to be
Yep.
on it.
Okay, I move
Good
that we
plan.
create an athletics policy subcommittee.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So now you can have a discussion of who wants to serve on that committee.
Okay.
I would, all right, and I would recommend, you don't want to do it, Kelly?
Oh,
'cause-
no.
Okay. Because I'm like, you are so, but you're so like in it.
I'm involved in youth sports in one youth sport, and only because I'm literally being forced to. So
Okay.
I am not a sports girl. I probably do not have the experience or the breadth of knowledge to help in any real way. So I would, I would do it if you needed me to, but I don't think that that's a great idea for me.
So Bill's interested.
Bill?
I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Stephanie.
That'd be good.
Stephanie? Perfect, all right. Then I move that we appoint Bill Cullum and Stephanie Clordy to the Athletic Policy Subcommittee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Hope we don't have plans this summer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I am. I know, you don't know me well enough yet. Believe me, I'm not looking to fill anyone's summer that way. Okay, I apologize, I lost the background agenda. Okay,
If
so-
you'd like, I mean, your choice is I could come back in August at our next full meeting and bring the wellness plan
Okay,
and just have it as an agenda item, and then who was on the committee last, who's currently on the committee.
okay.
And then,
Oh my God, I was not here yet. So.
right, Jackie was on the committee as a parent.
Yeah.
So who,
Right.
who was on the committee, and then have a discussion about it, and then if you wanted to appoint someone to that committee at that time, I think that would make sense, and a little more information.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be great.
So I will bring that back on August,
Perfect.
for our
Greatly
August
appreciated.
meeting.
That works out
Yep.
beautiful. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
any other action required on this? I don't think so.
No,
Nope.
I don't think so.
I think we're good, right? All right, so thank you again for everyone's discussion. It's greatly appreciated. And Katie, if you at some point feel like you can articulate what you were thinking,
Yeah,
feel free to share.
It probably isn't even important because if it was that important, my brain would work, so.
Okay. Okay, so next that brings us to, I'm sure, something everyone's looking forward to, choosing our dates for the 2024-2025 school year. So I think we've done fairly well, meeting every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's almost 9:15, but our meetings used to go till what, 10:30, 11? I mean, we had some really, really late meetings before we did every 3 weeks.
So
Once a month is.
I will say one thing I was going to suggest. It actually said 6 on here, but I wasn't going to suggest 6. I was going to suggest 6:30.
Okay.
So,
I'm good with 6:30.
what are people's thoughts of starting at 6:30 versus 7? I mean, if you wanted to do 6, I could do 6 too, but I know several of you work till 5, and then that makes it a little tight in terms of like getting something to eat and getting to the meeting.
I'm fine with whatever, but I would prefer 6.
Would you?
Yeah.
Good, because I would too, actually.
Six
Yeah.
is fine.
I'm fine with
works
6.
for me.
Does 6 work for you?
And then I think the only other consideration, so I'll mention it,
Okay.
is that we do a lot of recognitions. We invite a lot of families and students to our meetings over the course of the year. But I also think the nature of, I think meetings were always at 7 o'clock for that reason, because they just felt like that was a better time for that piece of it. But I think that, things have changed a lot, and I think people have a little more flexibility in their schedules in general. So,
We
but I
can
just wanted to
always-
mention that in terms of 6 versus 6:30, would that hamstring, you think, some people who we might invite for recognitions?
But we could always move that in the, move that in
Really,
the
the
agenda.
agenda, yep.
We can
Yeah,
have
we
it
could
later on
do-
the agenda.
We could do other things and then do that. I'm fine with 6, I think.
Yeah.
6 is great for me.
Yeah,
but I-
6
but I
would be
wanted
great.
to know what
I'm
was
down
I
for
mean,
you.
yeah, so
Ron
I mean,
likes 6, he's not saying anything, but he's likes it.
Gina, does
I mean,
6
we all
6 works for Dr. Erickson? Gina, yeah.
Gina
All right.
loves it.
I know that my child stays up every time.
Yeah, I'm
at a
all
school
for
committee
it.
meeting, and I don't want that, so.
I mean, and honestly, when you're sending out a letter about a recognition, you could just say, can you please arrive at
6, yeah.
7?
Or whatever time we decide to put it on.
Yep,
Yeah, I mean,
yep.
And I think most of the boards in town have gone to an earlier start
They
time.
have.
I don't think there's many boards in town that are meeting at 7.
all right.
I think.
All for it.
Alright,
Of
so
course,
6 o'clock.
as long
Down
as
for
room
that.
availability doesn't become an issue,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it
I think
is.
so.
So,
And then my only other, in terms of August, I put the 19th, which is the week before school starts. I don't know if you want to do the 12th. Doesn't really matter to me. I figured I'd just ask. I put the 19th on here, but
Let's say
the 12th is 2 weeks before school starts. The 19th is the week before school
19th is
starts.
fine.
The 19th is fine with
I've
everybody. That
got
works for me.
a ton of stuff going on in August.
I think so.
And then my other question was, I don't know if you know the answer in terms of the town election. Because this year we moved our meeting so that we
did.
wouldn't have a meeting the Monday after the town election. We still had a meeting after the Monday
And
after
then
the
they
town
changed,
election.
they
They
changed,
They may change the
they
meeting date.
changed it until the weekend after April vacation,
Because they
right?
weren't getting the response.
Turnout.
The turnout that they wanted, but even still, they still didn't get the turnout that they wanted, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
There's no, I don't think
There was no change, no real
we
change
know
in
what
the
they're gonna
numbers.
do at this point, because
Yeah.
So,
you're right, it didn't work.
and, well, next
Yeah, no, it did
next
not
year's a
work.
really funny year. So next year, April vacation's as late as it can be. April 1st is a Tuesday.
Yep.
So April vacation is the 21st to the 25th. I'm assuming they're gonna have the election the
Either the weekend
26th,
before or
because
the
otherwise,
weekend after.
otherwise it would be May 3rd. Do you think they're gonna have the election May
No.
3rd?
No,
I think it would be the week before.
It'll either
The-
be the week before or the week after.
Yeah.
Okay,
The first weekend of the vacation, probably.
the 19th.
It'd be a guess, though. I mean, I understand.
So
Yeah.
right now, there is a possibility we could, the way we've laid this out, we could have a meeting on April 28th, which could be the Monday after elections,
election.
which isn't great, because
Well-
it's just whoever gets elected
To be fair.
is forced
it's Katie
into,
and I.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Kelly and I are up, and I'm planning on rerunning.
I am too.
On running again, so.
so, okay.
Actually,
hopefully
I have
we
a
get
conflict
in.
on the 28th of April.
Okay, you know that already? All right, so you want
I'll
to
be
move
in
that one?
Phoenix, and I'll be in a conference at that time, so. I don't know if we can. if
No,
we're
wait,
moving
but
for that.
that's why we'll put it on the calendar. If
Yeah.
we know we have conflicts, we certainly have plenty of time to plan for April 28th.
All right, so what's
oh, it's 25.
that? Huh?
I just noticed it needs to be 25.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, my God.
We're
Which
making
is,
edits
which
on
is
the,
just, which is just horrifying.
So could we do, instead
horrifying.
of April 28th?
Are you gone that whole week, Bill?
Yeah, I'll actually, it's a 2-week stretch, but I'm available any other day for a Zoom, just not that Monday.
What about the 21st?
21st is that's the vacation
Oh, that's
week.
vacation week, yeah, okay.
You cut that out, Kelly, and me right now.
I will not make anybody.
Spoken
commit on
like a
vacation
true
with-
educator.
I promise you, I would never do that to any educator.
And we always try to stay away from,
Could we skip 2 in April and do 2 in May instead?
Or just do one.
Or just do 1 in Aprl?
Let's see, what will be happening around that time? Negotiations?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know if it would be wise to, I don't know if it would be wise to not have 2 in April. Depending
Well,
upon how things go.
Can we?
The only
well,
other alternatives would be doing the 7th and the 14th or the 7th and the 21st. Unless, unless we do it a different day.
I mean, we could do it on a different day.
So
Or is that not?
Can't we just do that?
Any other day I can Zoom.
Oh,
Any other day?
Any other day, it's just that particular day I wouldn't be available.
Yeah.
oh, not the 28th.
He can't do the
Zoom.
28th at all.
Want to do the 29th?
We could? 29th?
Right now, the 29th on my calendar is free. Of April
I don't know how you know
2025.
any of that well in advance, but.
I don't either, but I think we should pick it up.
yeah,
I'm going to
29th
be
is fine.
surprised every Sunday when I say, oh, I have a school committee meeting tomorrow.
And then we don't have the, it will not be the Monday after April vacation, it'll be the Tuesday after April vacation.
Okay.
So that gives us time to get sworn in.
Sworn in.
That's right, so we're good, so-
Yeah.
Yep, and then we have the 14th, or was it the 7th?
No, it's the 7th and the 29th.
Seventh,
no.
yep.
Yeah.
And we do the February is a little bit, we try to stay away from having a meeting the Monday after the breaks.
Yep.
February 24th is, but Gina and I we played with this a little bit, and I was just looking at like when we're gonna have the budget season
Yeah, what's
and the
the
way
calendar
things
gonna
lay,
be?
and having to vote a month before town meeting. I don't know if town meeting is gonna stay in June or go back to April.
Yep.
So I don't know where those things lie. So the 24th kind of made sense, even though it is the Monday after
Yeah.
Yeah,
February vacation.
That's
yeah,
all right.
there's a
I'm
lot
okay
of
with that.
unknowns.
Yeah.
I feel personally attacked with the March 17th, but I'll
Oh,
arrange to be here.
Irish. Yeah, I hear you on that. St. Patrick's
Yeah,
Day.
yes, it's.
Hey, we should all wear green.
I wear my green Care Bear outfit to school that day, so
Nice.
you would all die if I showed up in that.
Yeah, we're
Absolutely not. I'd be perfectly fine with that. I wear green on St. Patrick's Day.
This is like a onesie. It's really funny.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, so the 24th, what's the other one on the February?
The 3rd.
I don't know any of this at this point, except for August 19th. I know that I'm free.
All right, so we're going to 6 o'clock,
September 9th.
Yep.
and
And, I mean, we can always change
You can always
these
change these
dates.
meeting
They
dates,
don't
but it's
have
always
to,
good
they
to
don't
get the
have to be
calendar
set
out,
in
get it
stone.
all down.
Sometimes we need to add one, sometimes we need to, change things
I'm
as
good with
things
this.
come up. So, we don't need to vote to approve this, do we? Or do
I
we?
think we do.
yeah, we generally do, yep.
Okay.
we do.
All right,
Okay.
my bad, I didn't look.
No, I saw it in there. Hold on. Do-do-do. I move to approve the 2024-2025 school committee meeting calendar as proposed this evening.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for putting that together.
All right, 6 o'clock.
Okay, so with that, that's under reports from the school committee. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say under school committee reports?
I just want to say thank you to everyone this year, the administration, the teachers, the bus drivers, custodians, everybody who worked so hard this year to make it a successful year for all of our students, and enjoy your summer.
I would like to
Right.
say have a wonderful last week of school. I know I will. Be safe this summer. Enjoy yourself. That's it. Thank you, teachers.
Right? Anyone else? No pressure.
I'll just echo those comments.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like so many great things happened in our district this year. And like Mrs. Cabral had said at the beginning of her presentation, the amount of community support and participation that, I've just seen increase at events across our campuses this year. I'm very grateful that we have such great community support. I'm grateful for town meeting to supporting the budget for the town, for the school district, for capital outlay. I know this was a challenging year. I'm thankful for that support. It's really great to be in the situation that Carver is in. Always room for improvement, always room for growth, but I feel like everyone has a positive mindset, and that the teamwork and people willing to work together, in spite of their differences for the greater good, has really been something I've been proud to witness. So I just want to say thank you. I want to wish everyone a great summer. I want to say happy Pride. I want to say thank you to Tammy Johnson for all of the work that she has done as Vice President of the EAPC. I wish her well in her retirement. And that is it. So happy Happy June 10th, everyone.
Okay.
So with that, if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session without returning.
I
Be great.
move, hold on one second, let me just get down there. I move that we adjourn the open session of the June 10th, 2024 school committee meeting to go into executive session and not return to open session.
You
You
have to state the
say the type.
purpose.
For the
Why?
purpose of discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the bus drivers union.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote.
Jackie Lake Eye.
Kelly Nimi, aye.
Stephanie Clarity, aye.
Katie Sullivan, aye.
Bill Cullum, aye.
Thank you, everyone. 9:24 p.m. The open session of the Carver School Committee is closed.